What's up, guys? Jose Zavalza, your host for Making an Impact, with my special guest, Bobby. Bobby and I have been working together probably for almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
And I still remember the time and the day that I reached out to you. And ever since then, you've been making me look good, and you've been a vital part of my business, and I want to thank you for that, number one. But I really kind of want to get into how you've been able to expand your business, the impact that you're making on your business. But quite frankly, you've been introduced to a lot of people over the last couple of years, in different areas, different industries. And I guess just to kind of start off, what's kind of like some of the weirdest things that you see out there? I mean, I'm sure you're taking pictures. I mean, you take pictures of listings, you take pictures of events and video of events. There's got to be some weird stuff that you kind of run into.
Weird stuff like that. I mean, piles of dog shit. So it goes a little beyond. Some of the weirdest things, though, going into more of LA, Glendale, is, I don't know if it's weird or if it's just wrong, but people there have the dopest cars, and they have the nicest cars, but then they live in apartments out there. And they're not nice apartments. It's like where I live. So like I'm living in an area where like people are driving Maseratis and BMWs living in that place. So it's like a big pump flex, I guess.
Like a facade,
yeah.
Almost just kind of, like you said, just flexing on the exterior, but not really living it up to what they're saying.
So it goes from dog shit to people being interrupted by drunk people filming content to, fake flexing on the internet. So
yeah.
You name it, we've kind of seen it.
That's crazy. And I myself have walked into properties and you see weird stuff, right? Crap, wigs, drug paraphernalia, condoms on the floor, just really, really weird stuff. And you know that it's a house that's been vacant for a while. So you know that it's not your average person kind of doing this. There's something wrong with the person to be doing things like this. You know what I mean? So I kind of get it. Over the years, and like I said, I've seen you really evolve in your business. Is there a time that you can kind of go back to and say, this is when I decided to make the change? What were the changes that you made, and where did those changes get you?
So I think the first decision was wanting my own thing. So like being with the team at the time and then not even realizing I can start the business, that was like the first decision. I was like, okay, so maybe I can make a business out of it. And it wasn't because there was clients hit me up, because nobody was hitting me up. They all knew who I was working with, so they did not hit me up. So I was finding the decision to even want this part. And then once we did that, it was like, okay, so we want it, but how are we going to actually buy cameras and all this stuff? The only thing we owned was a house. So other than that, I mean, like what I was making, what Erica was working at the time at the dental field. So what we were making, I think it was like $4K a month. So it was covering our mortgage and stuff like that. So what could we do that would actually create the business and get paid for? So we sold the house. That was like the ultimate decision. And it was because we were already in real estate. See, real estate does something different. Like once you're in the game, you start looking outside the window. If you're a buyer agent or seller, even a photographer, you start to look at everywhere you go, different places. And I kind of like, during that transition, I was like, okay, cool. I was looking at houses, the same model house. My wife was like, hey, that house sold for X amount of dollars. It was like a little over 100K from what we originally bought it for. And then from there, it was like, okay, but because of real estate, we were able to look for that stuff. So after that, it was just making the decision to take the jump. From taking the jump, we went into what I believe every business owner goes through. Hiring people based off of your emotions, thinking, and not skills. That's the way I hired. I hired based off of what I thought the person can do or what they think they can do, what I thought I saw in them, and then I realized it was just myself, what I would do in their position. Never worked out. So, I mean, from losing people in the circle to losing clients, the next decision was just, what could we do better? And it was just, we can't stop hiring people, but we got to get better at it. And all of this stuff, like, it wasn't me coming up with it. I consumed content from Gary Vee, from all the people that most people follow. So I just went to straight to the source to find out what they're doing. I listened to them. I didn't listen to anybody under. I went to who they were listening to. So it was like I was already pre-planning everything I was doing, and then made every decision easier.
So to kind of summarize what you just said, your wife and you made a huge decision and said, we're going to start a business and I'm going to sell the house. We're going to sell the house and rent, essentially.
Yeah, that's
right?
what we did. We rented.
So you rented, and you started your business.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're what, 3 years in, almost 3 years in?
3 years in.
So in those 3 years, you've had some challenges in hiring people, not hiring the right people, you learning, you having to force yourself in a way to grow, to learn, so that then you can become the go-to person. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because that's huge for anyone that's listening right now. That's huge. Number one, he said that we made a decision, and that decision took a lot of balls. It took a lot of courage to sell your house, your safe place, right? Your sanctuary where people go and just kind of close the door and not allow anyone else in. You sold that because you wanted to pursue a dream, a goal, which was starting your own business. Then on top of that, obviously you start picking up momentum. You hire the right people. You hire people, probably for the wrong reasons. Maybe because you felt that, they could potentially help you. Didn't work out that way. And so it's a lot of like back and forth. Yep. A lot of it sounds very familiar to what I'm doing. And I think everybody here who is in business is going to experience that back and forth. That one step forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. There's always going to be a back and forth until you make a decision to really focus, at least for me, especially these last couple of months, Bobby, we have been heavily focused on operations, because I cannot bring on 100, 200, 300 members like that. I want 100, 200, 300, 1,000 members, but I know, and that's the hard reality, I had to get real with myself and say, we're not structurally ready for that yet. Yeah. And I had to invest to basically prepare for it, right? We asked for the blessing, but you got to prepare for the blessing. And this takes me back to a conversation that you were probably here with when I interviewed Rosie, a good friend of mine, Rosie. She said, how do you expect to run with horses if you can't even catch up on foot? Yeah. And that to me still sticks to my head, because that says we got to focus on operations. That to me was operations, our system, our processes. Everything has to have a process. Yeah. And now, like I said, every entrepreneur, whether you're in real estate, whether you're insurance, a lender, anyone who's in their own business or has their own business is going to experience this. And if you're not, you're just transactional. I hate to say it that way. You're just living transaction by transaction. That's it.
Or plateauing.
Or plateauing.
You're just, yeah.
So now, you realize this, and I'm sure it's frustrating, because it's been frustrating for me.
But you said it. I realized it. This was my fault. It wasn't like, and it's never the people we hire. It's never their fault. It's we see something I did wrong. It was always my thing. I should have focused. And like you said, the operations weren't there. So therefore, I couldn't give what the person really needed. Therefore, I also didn't listen to what the person really needed, because in the beginning of starting a business and doing all of this, I had no idea. I didn't go to school for it. I barely even graduated high school, and it was late. I wasn't on stage or anything. So I didn't have a whole lot of tools. I just knew, make the decision, stick with it. If you fall back, you keep going. What else do I have? Like at that moment, I had the baby. Rome was 2020 during COVID. My wife never went back to work. So it goes back to like, I was married, I knew I had a responsibility. Therefore, I took that shit. Like, I went full force, and every mistake I made was always my fault. It was never the other person's. I just had to grow from it. So like you said, if it's just transactional, you're not going to see too much of this type of stuff. But the moment you really try to grow, you're going to get hit left and right, which Gary Vee talks about all the time. Like, you're going to get beat up. But if this is yours and no one's going to take it, then keep getting beat up, man. Like, get back up, because one day they won't be able to beat you up because you'll be too big. So,
and that's the other thing that I really liked what you said, is the fact that you immersed yourself into learning. You had to learn in order to provide the value that your clients needed. Hey, Jose, do this, right? Let's try this. I saw this here. So you wouldn't be able to give those suggestions that I value a lot, because I'm coming to you as the expert in this field, because I'm not an expert in this field. We were just talking about all these cameras a little earlier. That's not my expertise, so I'm not going to focus on it. This is your expertise. This is what you need to know. So you went to those people on YouTube or looked at their videos, the Gary V's, the Grant Cardones, whoever, all these top guys that everyone else is going to learn. So now you're able to translate, I guess you can say, and speak to everyone else. And as a result of you doing that, now you have a lot more clients. Like I said, I've seen your business, exponentially grow over the last, couple of years, in 2023 especially. So congratulations for that, because I know this is something that you've always wanted. You know what I mean? And it does take a lot of guts, a lot of courage to be able to do that. Being that you do talk to all these different people, is there something, number one, are you specializing in one industry right now, or is it pretty much all over the place?
That's a good question, because that's what I'm battling. And I think other real estate agents battle the same thing. Do I stick with the buyer side, or do I go to the seller side? In my case, am I on the photography, the listing side, or am I on the video marketing side, the social media? We started with the photography side. That's just pretty much how we started, because I was still learning and researching the video side of it. Now, fast forward 2023, we pretty much went full force into the video side. So all of the content creation, podcasts, social media marketing, I really went into that, but I already built a team. I started building a team. We had some good people, but just like everything else, people grow, people leave, it gets knocked right back down. So in that time, I kind of got knocked back down. I started focusing a little bit more. Bobby personally was on video side, and then like photography side was with the team. And it's still like that, but because of the video side, it still takes up majority of our time. So right now, really specializing on the content marketing, the planning, the actual creation of it, and coming up with ideas, and slowly trying to pick back up on the listing side.
So let me ask you a question, because I ask this question to a lot of my clients. Do you feel that you've mastered one enough where you can build systems around it? And if the answer is yes, then you can do both. You can do both, because that's exactly how you're able to scale. You're not going to stop doing one thing because you're good at it. You're just going to replace yourself with a system. And that's exactly what we've been doing, is that we've just been replacing ourselves with a system and a process, a protocol, however you want to call it, because it's a revenue stream. Listings and pictures of listings is a revenue stream for you that represents a percentage of your revenue, right?
It's cash flow.
It's cash flow. On the other side, you got content creation and videos. That should be a whole nother genre that you then must master, systematize, and then move on. That's to me, that's the only way to be able to scale and ultimately leverage your time, because you're just one man. You recently just moved to Glendale, and you did that because you were trying to leverage your time, because you have some good clients in the Valley. So from a time and a distance standpoint, not having to be on the freeway for 4 hours a day, several times a week, you made that move. So now you leverage your time. Now, if you replace that with a system, you'll have more time.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the challenge that we're all doing. You know what I'm saying? That's the challenge that we're all trying to figure out. And like I said, for me, it was a lot of trial and error. It's hiring. It's those people leaving. It's investing maybe in the wrong thing. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't have spent that money there, but I did anyway. It's all a learning process. There is no book. All the gurus that I've talked to, 50% of them say this, the other 50 say something there. So you kind of, you're still stuck in the middle.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I guess at that point, you just have to stay true to who you are and what you're doing. And which leads me to the next question. Obviously, you talk to me, you talk to a number of other people, and I'm sure you're privy to a lot of crazy conversations. What's been something that you've really learned? I'll just say in 2023, since we just started a new year, what's something major that you've learned just by being in the same room with certain individuals?
So dang, that's a good one. So personally, I have gotten a lot smarter just by being in the room with you, by other clients. Like I love real estate because there's so many different avenues. But like the most thing is like understanding how it works, understanding how an agent works, how they do and what they don't do. How I've had some agents close 1 to 2 deals, bro, like last year. And then I see other agents that are closing 60 to 100 deals. And it's what I'm learning the most on why it's a separation of why agents do well and why they don't do well. It's one thing, just one thing, and that's your work ethic. That's the only thing that holds people back. And we can go deeper into that. It goes deeper than that. It's belief. Belief that you're even supposed to be there. Belief that when you call the person, they're going to answer and want to have a conversation. Most of everybody goes into the business the opposite. Not because they want to help people and they're passionate about it. It's because their friends are in it, or the friends do money, or they're doing pretty well. That's why you're getting like new lenders, friends are going into it. Like all this stuff is because they're not actually doing it with their heart and what they want to do. The reason goes back to what made us so different in 2020, even that I have a passion for this shit. No one's going to take it from me. I'm not like, oh my God, we're making 6 figures. We're doing this. Oh, the money's good. No, I love what I do so much that I do it myself for my own brand. Mm-hmm. So really what I learned there was what it really took for someone to be successful and unsuccessful and not successful. Like why people are failing, why people aren't. On top of that, I got insights of the money, like how money works. Growing up, I thought Democrats were for, they represented the whole like poverty and stuff like that. So I always thought money was only for the rich and the Republicans and stuff like that. And that's how it was taught, bro. Now being in real estate, and this has nothing to do with left or right. It's just the industry, a level of a person. You learn some of this stuff that you were taught. It's the opposite. So 2023, man, from money to education it's not even the business I do, real estate, because I care that much, because I cannot do this business if I don't know what you guys are doing. And I solely believe in that 1000%. Otherwise, I'm just like every other videographer, showing up, giving you a price, hitting record, and then I walk away. But you guys are going to fire me as soon as the next guy comes cheaper.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, and it's crazy even more that you mentioned what you mentioned right now, because something that I literally spoke to my group this morning is that one of the things that I learned was that people do have a fear, and it's not a fear of failure. Mm-mm. It's the fear of success, because the fear of success brings on responsibilities, brings on leadership that most people say they want, but the reality is that they don't want it for whatever reason, and that's okay. But it's the fear of success, because someone can say, I want to make 100, I want to make $500,000 this year. But okay, you get that. What does that now, number one, mean? What is the responsibility now that you have for that? Are you responsible? Obviously, bills and all that. That's out of that's not in conversation. I'm saying, in order for you not to blow that money, you need to be a good steward of that money and be responsible for that money to continue making more. And that's where a lot of people freeze, or they don't want it, or like you said earlier, they just flex and say that they do, but the reality is that they don't.
No, it's scary. Success looks like 1,000 emails, 100+ text messages unanswered, people constantly hitting you up like that, and it gets overwhelming, anxiety, and it gets scary. And it's easy to back up and be like, oh, well, I don't know if I really want this, because I tell you, 100K when you make it, it doesn't feel like 100K. When you make 250K, it does not feel like you made 200. I can't go past that. So it does not feel that. You don't feel it at all. If anything, it's like, fuck, dude, like that shit beat me up. But it's as you keep climbing, it goes to your next level. As you keep climbing, you keep getting built. You're stronger. You got more armor on. You got more knowledge. You understand things. So it gets easier, but it has to be hard at first. We're going into things we've never done. People around you, oh, you make that, but they don't tell you how they did it, what they go through. Some are divorced, some are not. Like that shit beats you up.
It does. I mean, if someone were to ask me how would you define or describe success, I would say,
how would you?
Stress, sleepless nights, anxiety. Am I good enough? What am I doing wrong? I mean, it's all the negative stuff, because you have to go through that.
Yes.
It's part of the process, and
but what's the outcome of all that?
Of course, the outcome is what you want, but it's the process of the learning and going through that struggle that I think is worth more than the money itself.
Yeah.
That's why people say, and I've told people, you have to enjoy the journey, because you will get hit. As a matter of fact, like I said earlier today, I said, look, we're in 2024. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Here are 3 characteristics in order for you to be successful. Number 1, you have to be specific, because vague responses or vague clarity will give you vague results. Yep. Number 2, I said you have to be persistent, because something's going to happen in 2024 that we don't know what's going to happen. I may not be here. You may not be here. A loved one may not be here. Life's going to happen. You gotta stay the course. And you can't change the goal. You have to change the habit or the discipline to get you there, right? And I ended up with number 3. I said you have to expect it to happen. You have to make it happen and expect it to happen. Those are the 3 characteristics that how I would define, in order for you to be successful in whatever you're trying to accomplish, right? It could be transactional goals. It could be a monetary goal. It could be business related, whatever the case is. But like I said, the tone that I got towards the end of the year was most people were just afraid of the responsibility, And again, I love the fact, and I love picking your brain, because again, you've been in the rooms that I haven't been into. People that look at $100,000 and be like, I made that last month. Like, you kidding me? You know what I mean? Where that to me was the first milestone in my career many years ago. Was, oh my God, I've surpassed what my parents made together. You know what I'm saying? And I did it in 8 months. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Then the 250, like you said, doesn't feel like 250. No. The 500,000 doesn't feel like the 5. Helping others meet their milestones and running a multi-million-dollar, revenue generating office, it doesn't feel like it until you see it on paper, because again, you're just locked in.
I like what you said, those 3 characteristics for 2024, because you're absolutely right. Life's going to happen. Okay, everyone thinks, I might not get the deals, or they're going to say no, phone calls, no. Life's going to happen. That phone call's going to be different. It's going to be nothing to do with real estate. A big part of my journey is when my pops passed. Okay, I've talked about that in the past and stuff like that, but things are going to happen. Calls are going to come in. People we know, just things are going to happen. You got to be prepared for that. And this is why it's important to be persistent, to continue the journey, but you got to find your passion. You got to keep going, because when that shit happens, someone around you, it may not affect you, but it might affect someone you love. You're going to want to help them the best. And if you can level to where you want to go, you can help all those people that are going to be hurting in your circle. It's going to happen to you too, though. And you still want to be prepared for anything. This is why it's so important, to know what we want and know what we're doing in order to actually get what we want.
Yeah.
And not just like, oh yeah, shit, no, I want to be a real estate, or I want to be into this field. Like, no, go into whatever you're doing because that's where you want to be. You see 5-10 year vision on that. Otherwise, we'll see you in about a year, 2 years. Your friends won't want to call you out on it, but they're thinking it like, oh, just the next thing and next thing. No, it's time to take your shit serious, because if you're married and you have your kids, like, that's who you owe the responsibility to. It's nothing else. And if you're not married and stuff like that, then I can't help you, man, because I don't know what you guys feel inside, but I feel
the responsibility to themselves.
Yeah, but I don't know what that feels like, because at that point, I didn't get where I am now when I was by myself, is where I'm trying to get. So if you can do somehow like have that inside you, be different.
We were talking about some of the most impactful conversations that you've been, that kind of challenged you to make you a better person. Has there been a situation or a time that you've been in a room with people where you feel that the conversation is just impacting you in a negative way?
So I've been inside in rooms and conversations. So the way I would say the most negative is when I'm in a room and it's not that I'm nobody, but I'm in a room and I'm just the little boy who hits record. Those conversations are when I haven't made my mark, or I'm in the wrong room. I've been in plenty of those ones where I'm just like, damn, like they didn't acknowledge shit I did. And I'm sure other people are in those rooms too, where they don't even, like, I knew I would belong there, but I didn't feel it. They didn't let me feel it and stuff like that. Those probably been like the only most negative. Other than that, man, like I've always been in rooms. I've cut everybody I needed out of my life. I moved away to go and have better conversations. I moved away to be around different people. I wouldn't say better people, because there's nothing wrong with anybody here, but I moved to go get better, have better conversations, be around different people, different sized pockets to really grow. Otherwise, man, I would have been here and my life would have looked pretty much how I saw it.
How did that make you feel? As far as, you said something about you being in the room where you felt like the little boy, like you weren't even acknowledged. How did that make you feel?
I was pissed off, dude. But I was pissed off because that means I didn't work that hard. That means those people did not see me for what I feel like I have. And that's my fault. That's my fault, because success, fear of success. You should be shouting out whatever you do, whatever you do. You should have it be as simple as, oh, well, you should do live streams, all this webinars. Well, who am I? I don't want to do live. What if nobody shows up? Like, that's the mindset I was in. It made me just feel like I needed to do way more, but I was also afraid, because if I do way more, what does that mean? That means I have to have gone all day. That means I have to be always, spread thin. So yeah, it just made me feel like shit, and then made me realize that I have to do better, which hence why I came out with more strategies, which why I started switching things up, because I don't ever want to go back there. Next time I'm ever in that room with that person, they're going to come up to me. It's not going to be the opposite. I'm going to make sure it's not because, oh, well, I'm better. No. It's because I went back home to do my research to get better at what I'm doing, and now I have value. So that's how I thought about it.
Is this that's a great perspective, by the way, because I would have been pissed off too, but I probably would have been pissed off for a different reason. You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit mad at myself at the same time, but also mad at that individual for not having, I guess, just courtesy, period. Number one is just courtesy and consideration for the people that are around that individual, right? That person, nobody. And I'll say this very openly, nobody gets to where they are alone. No. You mentioned Erica. I have my wife as well. She's right there in the grind. I don't say probably, I know that I drive her crazy. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact that I drive her crazy with an idea, with I can't sit still. I don't know if it's just the way I'm built or my DNA or whatever the case is, but we're not in it alone.
No.
Our kids are with us because they're indirectly involved, right? So for me, like I said, I would have been upset, but probably on a different level. But the fact that you took it and said, hey, you know what? I'm just going to get better. And the next time that person's going to know who I am and come up to me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Right. So and staying in this topic of, I guess, negative conversations, has there been a time or a place where the conversation just got like completely like went off on a completely different tangent, or has everything negative kind of been orchestrated to be negative?
Not really. So like, I don't think I've ever been into, besides that just made me feel like I was like hired help. Like I was, I'm Mexican, so I'm going to say that straight up. I was a Mexican guy, hired help. That's what I felt like. I was like, what the fuck? Like, everybody else is a different race, everybody else. And then the only people that look like me were hired help. So I feel like that's why I got treated that way. I wasn't anybody special. Actual conversations around people, nobody besides that little thing, I've never really had any. Like, I hear agents with agents, not necessarily me, but like I hear their negative stuff. Like most agents are negative. Most of them are. The ones that don't really rock with anybody, they don't give you a chance to know if they're negative or not. But usually when I see a group of agents, it's always the worst of the worst talking. Nobody's coming in talking about, hey man, how you doing? Or what are your deals? Like motivation. You don't get any of that.
Yeah.
And it's not just one city, because I go and travel with so many different agents. I see them. I hear the conversations. I listen to everything. I pick up what I like and what I don't like, and then I kind of take it to the next agent. But yeah, the only time I really hear negative stuff is usually with an agent, and it's usually negative about themselves or like the market and stuff like that.
Do you ever feel the need to step in and say, hey, like,
I do all the time.
Okay. All the time?
Yeah.
So you're almost like a counselor or therapist in some cases.
I'm a coach. Okay. And this isn't like tooting my own horn. This is because they tell me this. Bobby, why don't you be a real estate agent? I mean, some of you guys watching have already told me this. I've got them in my DMs. Bro, you should be doing this because of this. It's just not my thing. Because I tell everybody I don't do sales. It's just not that. But it doesn't mean like I don't know what's right and wrong. I'm on an outside perspective. So if you're telling me like you're complaining about calls, I might be like, well, okay, why don't you just send them a text message? Oh, well, no, just send them a text message. Whatever you're doing in the calls that you don't like it, do it the opposite. There you go. Done deal. Have a better conversation now. Move on. There you go. I do this with my mom almost every day. That's why I say practice.
Do they do this? Do they do the suggestions? Do they apply and implement the suggestions that you tell them?
The ones that hear me talk the most do, because I'm credible when I start talking. If I talk loud enough and the right words, people listen. They're the ones around the agent. So yeah, and it's not because I think I know everything. I don't know shit besides what I do. So whenever I hear stuff like that, and I know this by hand because I was with people, I got to be around the ones that did the text message. I got to see results. So what I'm saying isn't bullshit. It closed over 140 transactions that year. So what I took that year, bro, it's insane. I still pitch the same things to agents. I'm like your coach. That's not your coach. I always try to spin it towards social media. Like it's always like more of a personal brand. But whenever I hear them talk like that, I'm like, dude, fix it. Try something else. Move on. It's a marketing tactic. If it didn't work, try split test it, A and B. Phone calls, text messages, DMs. There you go. There's your answer. Quit crying now. Move on. You guys have your family to take care of. Go make your money, man. Yeah. And most of these agents have kids. They have families.
Of course.
And when I see them don't do that much, I'm like, who's suffering?
The kids.
Yeah.
The kids, the family. Yeah.
Just get your ass to work. Like, what are you doing? Get off of the phone and make your calls. You don't want to, I don't have a sphere. Okay, cool. Go to events. Go places.
Yeah. Go create a sphere.
Or get a different job. Because you're clearly not in the right. Yeah.
So we've been talking about 2024. Obviously, it's today's very early on in January. What do you want to accomplish this year in 2024?
I want to take a family vacation. Like legit.
Where?
Like, let's say fuck like everything else. Like I want to take a family vacation out of the state, out of the country. Not okay. Let me take that back. No, I'm not going out of the country with a family. That's my wife. So I want one vacation. I want to get to the Middle East with my wife. She already got the passports, so that is happening this year. And then I want to take one real vacation with the family. It would be somewhere like Hawaii or I don't really want to go to Mexico because everybody says it's so bad and shit. So like, it's kind of scares me. I'm like, dude,
Mexico's
what?
beautiful. Mexico, you know,
It's because I want to get into local area and I want to go and see historic stuff. So and they're like, oh, well, you got to go into. That's why for some reason it's always there. And my wife's like, no, let's go to like Cancun. We're gonna do vacations and stuff, but I want to learn. Like, I don't want to go and sit down by a pool. I can go do that here. I can go to Palm Springs, go anywhere else. I'm going to another country or another place to learn culture, to learn the world, to take back and be better, and then to give that experience to my kids. If your kids don't go on vacation, it's what you posted. I'm taking my daughter on a real vacation so your dusty ass sons will know what a real one is. That shit is important. If your kids don't see universities or anything like that, they're never going to want to go to these places. I said that because we went yesterday to USC, the museum. My daughter was like, what is that place? I was like, that's USC, right? What is it? And I told her, she's like, oh, wow. I was like, there's so many people, great people come from there, but she didn't know anything about it. And that is me failing as a parent, not teaching it. I'm not big on school, but doesn't mean that we don't open those doors for our kids to see, because they're going to be 18, 16 and have a mind of their own. Doesn't mean ours is right. So yeah, that's kind of like what it is. One vacation with my wife, traveling, getting better and closer with her, learning how to backpack and stuff like that, and maneuver life with her, and then one with our family here.
Both of those this year.
This year, yeah.
What else? What else you got in the books for 2024?
2024, business-wise, I don't want to change too much. I just want to get more prepped and more planned. You know, I spent a lot of time, it's always up here, but then when you get somewhere, the environment changes. So like, you don't pull everything out until you leave and go, damn, I should have done this. Why did I do this? Because the environment you're at is real life. When you pre-plan it, you don't know like the environment. That can go from like, oh, I want to make X amount, but then like someone could leave and the environment changes and stuff like that. So I don't want to do too many like number goals, just making sure that I prep up to rebuild the team to what it was in early 2023, 2022, so that I can continue on the mission of helping agents, helping investors kind of continue the route. Yeah, I think that's business-wise the closest. Yeah. Nice.
So you got a couple of things teed up. Looking forward to it. Middle East, you said.
Yeah.
Family trip. Maybe Mexico, maybe not.
It would be probably what? There's Mexico and then there's Hawaii.
Yeah.
Really, that's the closest. That's not going too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be either one, and my wife's going to make the decision. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
No, it's something to look forward to. And again, going back to the characteristics, right? Be specific, time, place, time of year, how you're going to be traveling there. That way you can just, again, I kind of almost relate it like to prayer. When you say, oh, God, please bless me, okay, bless you how? You got to be more specific, right? So that's something that I drill on, is to be very specific with timestamps. Finances obviously will come and go. I think if everything else is worked on, that's just the byproduct. That'll come naturally, right? If you focus on the foundational things that will lead you to what you want to accomplish, the money is the byproduct. You know what I mean? I didn't put a financial goal together this year. I did put a member goal this year for 500. But again, that's going to drive other things to, a kickstart other things, I should say, operations, right? Making sure that the system is in place so that, quite frankly, the goal is for me maybe to work, 20 hours a week,
I like that.
25 hours a week, if I feel bored, maybe 30,
So that is something I did put though. I put a time frame as far as like when I'm shooting. I did put between 2 and 3 p.m. When I'm stopping, because I feel like anytime after that it could be used for other stuff, and anytime before that. And that was something, I think it was Layla Hormozi was like, you put a time to what your day-to-day looks like. And if it's like waking up, you can do the gym stuff, but if you go to like, hey, I'm going to stop working at 2 p.m. and then the rest of it's going to be, I don't know, with the team editing or project management or with my family for the rest of the time. But make sure that we know what our day-to-day looks like and how we want it to look. And it goes as simply as that. And then that's what I'm doing. Kind of base. I put all my stuff before like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, so that I'm done by like 2, 3 o'clock. And then I have the rest of the day to kind of unwind or pre-plan for what we're doing next. So
Yeah.
I like that you said that.
Yeah, one thing that I, reminded myself this morning is that I got into the gym early this morning. I think I was in there by 5:30. And I prayed, I had already worked out, I had already showered and gotten ready, all by 7:30, 8 a.m. It felt good. Now, the reason why I said it felt good was because during the holiday break that I took, I didn't do any of that. I completely disconnected. If I wanted to work out, I worked out in the afternoon, in the middle of the day, or didn't work out at all, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Just because, again, with routines lead to burnout sometimes.
Yeah.
It leads to the monotony, right? But so I gave myself that time to just do whatever I wanted. You know what I mean? Drink coffee until 9 a.m. Cool, I'm drinking coffee until 9 a.m. You know what I mean? But see, that is also preparing me to, now it's game time. Now it's game time. Now it's no excuses. This is what we do. This is what we're doing. And as a result, the rest of the day just goes by a lot smoother. That's why I'm a big advocate of saying, show me what your morning looked like, and I'll show you how the rest of your day is going to go.
Absolutely. So most people don't even eat breakfast, and I'm one of them. I was like, that was one thing too. I make sure we eat in the morning. It's important. Like, I'll drink the coffee, maybe the energy drink, but eat something or take a vitamin. I implemented that already because I was like, okay, cool. I want to clean out my system. I want to get healthier. I want to get better. After I got sick, I realized I'm not healthy at all because my recovery was pretty bad. So it goes into, all right, let me start cutting certain stuff out and then make sure I do vitamins. But it's having the plan and knowing what I want. But I want to ask you something. So you pray. How often do you find yourself praying?
Sometimes it's multiple times a day.
Throughout the day?
Sometimes it's more structured, where it's morning and then at night. My family and I have, we've been pretty bad at this lately, honestly. But my son, this is the leader that he's developing himself to be.
Okay.
He came to us last night, and he says, "Hey, let's before we go to bed, let's pray." So, one more alone for myself in the morning, where I'm thankful, grateful, all that stuff. One in the evening prior to bed. But there's times during the day where I'm going like, okay, what's going on here? Okay, what do I do next?
To him and stuff.
And I'm just talking, and that's something that I recently learned. And I had been doing that for a long time, but I always thought that wasn't the right way to pray. So when I say I recently learned, I just recently learned that it's okay to just have a conversation. So sometimes I do it multiple times a day. Sometimes it's once. In all transparency, sometimes I'm busy, and that's the bad part, right? That's where I need to kind of reconnect. But I'm being transparent. Sometimes I just forget, or I fall asleep, or the show on Prime Video or Netflix is just too good, and you know whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we fall short as humans. But I guess to go back to answer your question, sometimes it's 0, sometimes it's 4, 5.
That's important for people to understand that some days it's easier to pray, and some days, look, this is me personally talking. Some days I will pray, morning, good, I feel good, but I notice when I'm not feeling good, then I might not pray. It's just weird.
No, it's normal.
There'll be some days where I feel ashamed to pray because I feel like I'm asking and not serving. So which I made because I'm thinking more this year. And it's like, okay, I want to pray and I do want to ask him that. I talk to him, but when I pray, I found myself asking for a bit, and I was just like, okay, why am I even asking anything if I'm not even serving? And it could be like, okay, well, I read my devotion in the morning, but I'm like, I'm not doing anything for you. Like, it's reading, but it's doing me good. but like, what am I doing for you? Besides, I get I'm getting closer to you, but what am I really doing? So it goes back into me questioning, like, am I doing my life? Is this what you want? And I really feel like it is. That's why I'm so passionate of what I do. But if I can continue with faith, learning, serving, that's where I bring my avenue to. My own audience, the people I'm around, and vice versa. They're doing that to me too. Josiah, he don't even know it. But he's the one that brought God back into my life. He was listening to the music. All it did was make me think of back when I was with my dad and stuff. Prior to that, dude, I was a shithead, drinking all the times, drugs, all that stuff. Until he was a purpose to go back in my life. And that's why he was there. It wasn't just because of the photography, because I met a bunch of people during that time. But he was placed in mine. So now I'm like, if I can continue to learn, which I should be praying no matter what. I know that part. I got to get over that. I feel ashamed because I'm not doing what I think I should be doing. Maybe, and I feel ashamed for a reason, because there are things I should be stopped doing, and I'm still not there. So I think once I can get rid of what I'm ashamed of, and then I'll be able to talk more.
You know, I know how you feel, and I question myself for that as well. But I think, and I could be wrong, and this is where, you know, we welcome any comments or even suggestions. I think all he's looking for from us is probably praise and humility. I could be wrong, but, you know, I was in my feelings yesterday, literally just yesterday. I was in my feelings. I was upset. I was in my feelings, you know, went upstairs, and I turned on something where it had to do with prayer. And it was just a short little, I mean, I'll have to share it with you. It's an 8-hour YouTube video, but I listened to it in 10, 15, 20-minute increments. It just got me back into the right headspace.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because, and see, that's something that I feel that I still struggle with, is that I feel that I do have anger issues towards certain people. That's something that I have to work on. I'm struggling. I don't know how. I really don't know how. A lot of it's, you know, parental stuff, you know what I mean, that we can talk about later. But I struggle with it. And like I said, I just had to put myself in the right headspace. I feel for me that was a step in the right direction. It's not nowhere perfect, nor will it ever be, but it's a step in the right direction, and I thank them for that. Thank you for helping me find this, you know. And during that conversation that I was having, I told him, I said, please help me stop feeling this way.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you know, in an earlier episode, I said I built an office out of anger, and I took that anger and I just ran with it. And was it the best thing to do? Maybe not. I mean, I gained a lot of relationships from it. I lost a lot of relationships from it. Maybe this is just me being transparent and human, right? But I want to stop feeling this way. I just don't. And the only solution, number one, it has to come from me.
Yeah.
I can have a guide, I can have someone tell me, but I know it has to come from me. But I think, you know, going back to answer your question, what is he looking for? Because I feel like I'm always asking, and I think he's just asking for praise, acknowledgement, and just humility. I feel.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because what happens when you have all that? I mean, he sounds like a good person to me.
Peace of mind.
Yeah, peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
What happens when people have peace of mind?
They're smiling, they're happy, they're carefree. There's no stress. They could have $2 in their bank account. They could have $1 million. They're perfectly okay.
Isn't that weird how some people can have no money, be happy. Some people have all the money, be happy, and they can have all the money and still be mad. That's
another thing.
Internal. It's who has the bigger, I don't even know if it's in their case faith, or it's just something in there is making them happy, and it's not the money. So it's never going to be the money. I like that, yeah.
Yeah, and see, this is where, for me, in 2024, I want to continue in my spiritual growth, with my connection with him. Because I know that's going to help me and everywhere else. It's the foundation. that's going to help everyone else. And my wife said that to me before, and she said it to me before, and she said it to me before. It just, it has, I know that I got to start it. And I know, like I said, maybe fear. I don't know.
That faith thing is strong because right now, WealthCon's going on in Vegas with all like the investors and all the agents and stuff like that. But the one thing that everybody on that stage had was their faith on the top, then it was family. They're all jacked, of course, so the health was there, but the one main thing was their faith. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't, you choose what you want. You know, that's why we're here. It's free will. You get to choose whatever you want. But you got to choose something. Because if you don't, I don't see too many people that on the stages that don't believe in anything. It goes back to, I'm married, I carry them on my shoulders, therefore I'm willing to take on the world. I have God on my shoulders now I'm like out of my way,
now
bro.
You're jacked.
Like go,
Now
like
you're
out of
jacked,
my
yeah.
way, because I'm about to serve him in a different way. So it goes back to, if you don't have anything, or if you just rely on what you want, see, none of this is what I want. I believe it's what's getting put in front of me. It's why I want it. But if I think, oh yeah, this is all I want, this is what I want, I'm probably just gonna be a jackass with some money and doing some dumb shit. But I'm never gonna be helping people, because that type of compassion, all that love, all of that stuff comes with it. That's how I feel. I mean, it's part of like the journey with God, whatever route you take. So it's like it already builds you. So go back into 2024, like this whole thing. That's why I've been talking about a little bit about faith. Is I am getting more into it. Not just me, my entire family, my girls. We've done the prayer together, and I'll be straight up, full transparent. It was weird. It was tough. But that just means that I do not have a grip on my household. That's all it told me. It showed me that I am not that comfortable with my own offspring, my own wife and stuff like that. So that goes back to internally, me feeling ashamed. There's certain things I need to fix if I can't sit and have all my kids sit with me and we pray. Mm-hmm. If I feel that's weird, there's something inside me. Okay, argue the point where you're not used to. No. A man in his household, if he feels like that's his, will do anything and everything. And that showed me that I wasn't. You know, like I had to hold on. It took me a couple times saying no. It wasn't like, okay, let's just do it. Like, it is what it is. No, I fought back. No, I'll do mine. You know, yeah.
You know, it's interesting.
So that's me being full real, man.
No.
Like, I don't know how else to be honest with that stuff.
No, and I'm glad you are, because, you know, you and I went to the same church for a little while, and sometimes they would have those prayer circles. Those to me were a little weird in the beginning, because again, you're meeting people that you've never met before, holding their hand, hearing challenges, issues, prayer requests on both ends, right? From me to them, from them to us. At first I thought it was weird, but maybe weird's the wrong word. Maybe I was the weird one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where I want to make sure that I have a better foundation in my spirituality. This year, I'm not going to be the one that's out there going, you know, Bible thumping people or anything like that, because I think that's also the wrong approach. You know what I mean? I'm just going to be, again, if I feel more comfortable with who I am and my relationship with him, which I know that there's a lot of healing that I need to do, right? I think everything else will just follow course and follow suit and take care of itself, as it always has been when I'm connected with him.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? So for all of those people that thought that this was going to be a conversation relative to videos and content creation, we got you. This is two grown men having really just a beautiful conversation about life and about family and about faith and about struggles and victories and what we got coming forward. But I really enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, appreciate you.
I love the fact that, like I said, we started working almost 3 years ago. Keep growing, keep doing your thing, keep making an impact, and I'll be right there with you, brother.
We're ready, baby.
All right, guys. Till the next time, thank you for listening and tuning in. Comment, share, like. It helps us a ton, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.
Peace.